Nothing but love for him. We've been saying his talent is big. We just didn't know how to quantify that. So I think that's perfect to get into his what's in the bag. But since he won, we're going to get into it. He is a Callaway staffer. So some typical things here, and some few surprises here. So let's get into this Xander Schauffele. What's in the bag? I'm playing the Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond at 10.1 degrees. Very specific. And I think he's played with 10.2 as well from some of my readings. Rocking the Mitsubishi Diamana PD7 Touareg shaft at 45.5 inches. And I think he was also tipped at an inch as well. What do you think about this driver? I think you've touched on this driver before that. Callaway, just not for you. Good equipment, but not for you.
Yeah, I think it's very electric. The face has always been one of the hotter ones on tour for maybe about a decade or so now. Ever since they really started the jailbreak technology, they've really
Mm-hmm.
been on the forefront for ball speed. AI smoke is really just been has really created forgiveness for them. But even then, still not the most forgiving. We all know where that is. That's
No.
the ping. Ping
Yeah.
G430 is definitely the most forgiving driver than the QI10. And then I would say the AI smoke is in that, that secondary realm for forgiveness. You cannot deny the ball speed. You cannot deny the yardage gained, but it's just about being able to control it. So
Yeah.
kudos to him for knowing his numbers. 45, 45.5 on a driver. That's for him. I mean, for even that to be noted is a little bit wild because I feel like everybody's at about 45 or so. So,
Yeah.
whatever it takes to get him there. Diamana's an old name. Diamana used to have a really big chokehold on the game, and everybody started trying to desert it. But I guess, Xander found a home with the Diamana. So
I
good on
I
him.
was I was I was reading up on that because I thought the same thing that this Diamanta's been around, and it even the design on it looks like an older shaft, but
Hmm.
the PD apparently is kind of a update to their old whiteboard shaft. So this is kind of
Yep.
bringing the design forward. They're in Gen 5 at this point, so keep trying to keep it current. And he seems to love something about the profile. We'll see that as we continue to go through the bag. That the Diamana is one that he definitely enjoys in his wood. So, of course, continuing down the theme, the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond 3 wood, 14.4 degrees. And there were some other kind of clubs that it looks like he shuffles in and out depending on the conditions. I think he's also got a 16.5 degree kind of 5 wood that he toggles
Hmm.
in and out, I guess, just depending on the conditions as well. So, pretty standard here. A little bit lower. And then this Callaway Apex, which we've been seeing a couple times this year as well. So, 21 on the head, but playing at 19.7 again, super specific in terms of that.
Very dialed.
That I know, right? Again, continuing with the Diamana D plus 90 Tour X Flex, excuse me, and then just also the same thing, Mitsubishi Diamana PD Tour X in this 3 wood. Any comments on the woods before we get into the irons?
To me, that apex head looks a little bit bigger than normal, but I guess if that's like a older generation, that would make sense. I guess I mean, UW utility would, so I guess it would have a bigger head, but anything
Yeah,
playing at like 19 degrees and above, I would kind of quantify that as a hybrid. So really
yeah, and
weird.
it's got a hybrid shape. Yeah, and again, he's got a few things that he plays with. There's also on shout out to Golf WRX. He plays with the 13 and a half. Again, just depending on the conditions and what he's looking
Two
for.
wood.
The setup is exactly the same. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
they have their mini driver. It looks like that he's been playing with as well. So maybe he throws it in the bag here and there. Maybe he hasn't officially thrown it in there and waiting for the right time. Who knows? But he's got a
Hmm.
lot of optionality in his bag. But again, the shaft choices, it's a Diamana all the way through his woods, no matter what. In the irons here, it was interesting because the first what's in the bag that I ran across for him was kind of on a Callaway page, and they did not mention this Mizuno MP20. Of course, it was straight Callaway only. So there were a few holes when they mentioned the bag, and you'll see that also in his wedges as well. But the MP20, which is one of the sexier 3 irons that I think I've seen. Uh,
Yep.
got the heavy weighting on the perimeter and bottom of the club. Looks like it's really thin on the top line there. So sexy. In Mizuno, uh, make some sexy irons, man. I know you know that. And the True Temper
Cannot
Dynamic
beat
Gold
it.
Tour issue. And the X100. So I found this one interesting. Him being on the lighter side of their iron shaft for True Temper. What are your thoughts on that? And this carries through. He's X100 also in his 4 through 10, or they call it 10, but a pitching wedge.
I think it's just a moniker of him trying to get club head speed and be able to swing it harder because he's not a bigger guy. So him being able to do that, I think that'll help him out. So I think that's why the guys that swing heavier don't necessarily have to feel like they're swinging hard. But when you're
Yeah,
going lighter, it's because you want to still be able to feel the head and still be able to swing as hard as you'd like. So I think that's the easiest way for him to control it. So good on him. I mean, again, the dude knows his numbers. He is very specked out.
yeah,
So I think he knows that he needs a lighter shaft. He's probably played around with
yeah.
that multiple times, him and dad. So yeah, I think that's good for him.
Crazy. So he's also playing these Callaway Apex TCB. This is a raw finish, as you can tell by the rust. This is not a publicly available club. It was interesting because on the Callaway forum there was one comment, and it was somebody complaining about this not being available, right? And
Mm,
several Callaway staffers playing it, but the general public has no access to it. So I found that interesting comment. Someone complaining about that. So interesting iron. I mean, Callaway's iron lineup pretty much looks similar throughout the bag. I mean, the AI smoke ones, the one with a lot of help, are a little bit different, but all their players' irons have similar characteristics to them, especially on the backside of the club.
hmm
In the wedges here, so he's rocking the Callaway Jaws Raw, the 52 degree, 10 on the bounce. Then rocking the Titleist, which is in his 56 and 60, both bent at 57 and 61. Rocking the SM10s, got it in the bag. So an interesting setup, rocking the same shaft as well that he's doing in his irons, the X100 from True Temper. What was that head shake? What do you think about his wedge setup here?
57 degree and 61. Just some wild numbers. But I mean, if you're not hitting your 60 degree full, it being lofted to 61 won't really matter. And if you're hitting your
Yeah.
57 and you're trying to hit it out of a certain window, that would matter. I mean, 10
Yeah.
degrees of
But
bounce,
maybe I'm
that's a
off,
lot.
but this seems like there might be some gapping, not issues, but maybe he does a lot with that 52. But usually you don't see that big of a. I mean, you see 4 degrees standard as a gap. There's an additional one
Right.
there. I don't know, a little bit different.
Five isn't bad. I mean, you've seen it before. The pros, they'll go 50, 56, 60 like it's nothing. Having a 56, which is already pretty high lofted, and a 61, that's wild to me. Because it's like you're using your 56, and then with 10 degrees of bounce, like, are you using this for full shots, or are you using this like around the greens? And I feel like that's all the height I would need. But to play a
Yeah,
61 too as
you
well,
want. You want to really nerd out and how you know he's really in tune with his specs. So his pitch and wedge, or as they call it, 10, is at 47.8 degrees. So there's like a 4.2
No,
degree difference. It's so interesting. Even though again he's
47.
Callaway,
God,
yeah, 47.8. So that's one of the higher lofted pitching wedges that you're going to see in the game these days. So interesting though, but I love that they were getting kind of these decimal points on some of his lofts. It's very interesting. We usually don't
very
get data
true.
like that, but for somebody who's a staffer, you can tell he's been kind of very much narrowing down and tinkering and getting everything down to the exact numbers that he wants, clearly down to 47.8. So very interesting. Um, this putter, we've seen him rocking this putter for a long time. You mentioned this on our, what's in the bag from last week. This particular neck, the kind of same neck that we saw on the TaylorMade Spider last week. So this one's, as we go through more of these, it's fun to see the common characteristics that pros, utilize versus, let's say, us AMs. This is a prototype of
Hmm.
that particular putter, and that Toulon line from Odyssey is highly customizable. Even as an amateur, you can go on and really spec up and customize your putter to your liking. So if you are in tune with how you like to putt and different, intricacies with your putting and putting style, you can do it through Odyssey. And clearly he's done that, but he's been rocking this one for a while. I would be
Triple
interested to know
track,
what that.
essentially.
I am interested to. I would love to have more info on if this little plate on the bottom of the putter, is weighted,
Is
or
weighted.
those two inserts in the front of the putter. Clearly, they have the screws that can be removed. So I'm sure, with given that previous information we have, that it's down to like the ounce or some crazy number. So yeah, and then of course he's rocking the Chrome Callaway Chrome Tour, which I think this ball has continued to get better and better year over year. A lot less spinny than the original versions of this ball.
Right.
The
So
Chrome
spinny.
lineup, initially when it first dropped was so spinny, and it didn't matter which version of the ball you were getting. But they have really dialed it in, and when I run across a couple of them, it's been an enjoyable ball to play. It's pretty soft off the face, at least for feel. But you can definitely tell that it's not spinning up as much. I would have so many irons blow up on me. So,
Yep.
yeah, and I'm sure he's rocking some custom version of that. So that is the Xander Schauffele. What's in the bag? Any other comments before we close it out on this one?
No, I mean, I was just getting ready to reiterate the same sentiments about the Callaway Chrome Tour. It's leaps and bounds what it used to be. I mean, it used to be. I mean, it was always a great ball around the green, and surprisingly enough, it reminded me a lot of the Bridgestone because off the
Mm,
tee, I wasn't losing yardage. It hardly ever ballooned. It hardly ever spun too much. It was with the irons and the face interaction off the irons and wedges that really made it just spin and balloon up. But around the greens, it was great. The feel has always
yeah,
been
you get a
immaculate.
lot of stuff out of this channel, y'all. A little business knowledge, a little technical golf knowledge, a little BS in here and there. You're in a well-rounded environment. So, uh,
Absolutely.
hit that subscribe button, hit that membership button. We got you covered on all things golf.